What's going on, everybody? Ted again with the Countdown City Geeks, and today I am joined by a very talented writer and director, Miss Teresa Sutherland. Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you.
We are here to talk about lovely, dark, and deep, and I
Yeah.
love getting into the horror genre whenever it's a movie that I know very little about, and even better when it becomes this very complex, sort of outworldly mystery. Where did this film that you not only directed but you wrote yourself? What did the inspiration for this project come from?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, as us horror genre lovers find ourselves doing, was going on a like scary, creepy story rabbit hole in YouTube and like just trying to creep myself out probably. But I came across a bunch of stories about people going missing in our national parks in the States. And just some of these stories were just like so eerie and so like, what is happening? And I could feel myself just getting more and more interested, and also more importantly just like really creeped out reading and watching and hearing people talk about like these different examples. And usually as a storyteller, when that happens to me, when I'm starting to get creeped out, it's something I definitely want to at least sit with for a while and explore. And this just lived with me a lot longer. And I was like, I grew up camping, I grew up being in these natural spaces, and I have wanted to set something where in a place where I could use a tent. I think tents are super creepy. And so like it just kind of like fell into a lot of things I was looking for. So I just kind of started the process, and I encourage people to go and look up all those stories. They're terrifying.
I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I saw a documentary that I thought was one thing, and it quickly turned into we have tens of thousands of not hitchhikers. We have tens and thousands of hikers that have gone missing in this country, and nobody's talking about it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I talked about the story being a big mystery, and I'm not going to get into the details of that, but I absolutely love sort of the plot of this film, questioning, what is real, what is fabricated, what are the potential reasons for what we're seeing on the screen, and it's all done, fantastically. The cinematography is great. Were there a lot of challenges filming outdoors in the wild? What did you guys experience?
We experienced just the luckiest 3 weeks we could have ever experienced.
That's great.
We shot in Portugal and in the fall there, and it was incredibly beautiful. Uh, it, the weather was like some of the shots we were able to get with clouds. There's like some shots with like it really just like it gave us this movie by having these, like, I think there was one day where we had to cut short because the weather wasn't cooperating. And it's just the luckiest thing, and we still were able to just like piece that all together and figure it out in the end. But like just so lucky shooting outside, and for me being able to be in nature while shooting this movie. And we shot in 2021, so being like in the middle of the pandemic and like having all of this stuff going on was just a relief, and it felt like a safe movie to film. It felt
Mm.
like we weren't like up in each other all the time, yeah, it was very anytime you got stressed out, you were like, there was a tree there, like you could just like lean on a tree or like go and sit by the lake if we were at that location, or you were on top of a
Sure.
mountain. Like so many locations. But yeah,
I love it. I
really
love it.
special. Yeah.
It was shot beautifully. It had this great stylistic appeal to it. How was it working or collaborating with, I believe his name is Rui, your cinematographer?
Yeah, Rui Pocus is our cinematographer, and he is just the coolest person. He had he has like the experience, but also just like this groundedness and just like a chill vibe and just like confidence and a great listener. So when I'm like when we're talking about how we're in the woods and really all she has is a flashlight, how are we able to like light these scenes and make it feel realistic and like
Right.
we're not doing that like he's like, well, let's just try flashlights and like just okay, let's just try flashlights, right? Like, so we've got like 10 flashlights on a bounce board, like just really working to try and be true to the story with our
Sure.
visuals, while also being true to the weirdness with our, it's just like, yeah, it's just a pleasure to work with him. And it's like a wonderful, wonderful person.
Well, give him my compliments. I always appreciate when that extra effort is taken, and you can see a lot of these shots took some great effort in getting them. A lot of
Yeah,
bird's eye shots and a lot of cranes or drones, but they all
drones.
turned
Yeah.
out fantastic.
Yeah, the drone shot at the end, we were on
Ooh,
set and I was just like our day's running out and I'm like, I don't think we got it. I don't think we got it. And then we like have to take this Jeep in this because we were just like in the middle of nowhere in a mountain and then get back and then get back to the hotel and then dailies are sent. And I look at them and I'm like, oh shit, we got it. Oh shit, we got it. Like, oh my
I love it.
God. Yeah.
It seems like, there's multiple reasons and we don't have to get into it, but I love that there's still this ambiguity about that shot. It feels like it could be the ending of a movie. There could be more behind that. It could be a point of view of some sort. And I love that ambiguity. And it even brings back a few references to old movies that we don't have to mention, but I just absolutely loved it. Georgina is quickly
Thank
becoming
you.
one of my favorite workers in Hollywood. What was it about her past work, or was it her audition that you felt, and the casting director felt that she was perfect for this lead role?
Georgina was top of my list when we were talking about casting. I had seen her in I didn't know anything about Barbarian. I didn't know that this like her rise was coming, but I had seen her in an episode of Black Mirror and
Yes.
I was just blown away. Her ability to make her characters feel like real people was like truly like everything I wanted for Lennon. And so when we went to her, I was like, no way. Like, there's no way she's gonna do this. And then she said yes, and I was like, holy shit, here we go. Like, yes. And she just embodied her and brought so many moments that like I like and delivery that just were not things I was thinking should would be that way or would be like how she would say that or how she would do this or how she would do that. And then just by being quiet and just letting her work and seeing like where she would go with like she always like there were surprises and there was always just like a she's got it. Like we had 3 weeks to shoot. I don't think we could have done it without her just being an absolute boss.
She's so talented and she's so genuine, and she has this wide range of emotions. And yeah, like you mentioned, she nails it every time. I would love to see her work in person just because I feel like she's a big star and people just haven't maybe found out yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's hit after hit. I love it. I love her performance in this movie. And she's asked to do so much, you know what I mean? I mean, there's so many scenes where there's probably not anything happening, but you're asking her to react to just
Yeah.
the emptiness sometimes of what's happening around her. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, so many times. And so like sometimes your schedules are weird. Like you're just trying to fit it in. So like things aren't chronological and every scene like we'd be like where are we? And I'd
Yeah.
be like here we are and here's what's happening and that just happened. So you're kind of dealing with that, but I know that either hasn't been shot yet or that was days ago, but like this is where you are. And she'd be like, okay. And then like just like nail it.
Couple more questions for you. What is it about the horror genre that is so appealing? Because you've written these a few movies now, you've directed a handful of films, and what is it about that genre that's really appealing to you?
Horror is my home. Like I from my sister is 7 years older than me, and she likes horror movies. And so I was introduced to them at a pretty young age, and I was fascinated with them and the way they made me feel. Like they're the only movies that make me feel something different. Like if I'm sad and I go into like a comedy, I might still be sad later. Like I might still be whatever. But in a horror movie, if I'm sad and I go into a horror movie and it does its job, then I'm just going to be scared later. And I like that. I like that change. Like I'll be sad later, but right now I'm worried about walking home alone in the dark. And that's really a break from like the reality of everything. Like it's a genre that affects your whole body, and it is a genre that affects your whole mind and can stick with you for so long. And uh like storytelling wise, usually almost always horror movies have some element of a mystery, and I think that that's also just like something that I love a good mystery. And so like having a combination of that, like who's the killer and that's scary they jumped out, like I there's it just it's so much for me. It's just everything to me.
I love it. I love it. And you love a good mystery. I think you have one now, and it is your own. So congrats to you, the cast, the crew, for this movie. I highly recommend it. I think it's a great film. It's refreshing, and it's also touching on a element of fear that most people do not realize they might have. So I think you might be unlocking a new fear for some folks who watch this for the first time.
I'm so happy that you enjoyed it. It's such a relief, honestly. You never know when like I'm sure there are people out there who are like, I nailed it, but I am not one of those persons.
I understand completely. I would be the same way, but no, this is a fantastic film. I can't wait for people to check it out. So, Lovely, Dark, and Deep, coming soon. Can't wait for people to see it. Thank you so much, Teresa, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.